Hello, dear friends. I'm Professor M. Masoom Raza, Department of Library Information Science, AMU Aligarh. So, yesterday we have seen the circulation section activities in detail, and we have seen how the registration of members are done, what is the loaning process. Because for all loaning process, circulation section is responsible. Registration of members, circulation section is responsible. Means knowing the user or keeping record of the user, that all is done by the circulation section. So uh, this section plays a major role in establishing the contact between the collection and the user, because the technical section is responsible for preparing the document for use, and the circulation section is making the user ready for utilizing the uh, collection of the document. So that way, it is half preparation is done by the technical section and half preparation is done by the circulation section, and then only just to facilitate the loaning process. Otherwise, loaning process or lending process will not be feasible until unless these two sections coordinate their activities. So we have seen the job of processing in technical section, how they process the document, how they classify, how they catalog, and how they do the labeling, pasting, and filing. All that process we have seen. And now, what in the yesterday's lecture, or what in the previous lecture, I told you about the circulation activities. So circulation activities starts right from the registration of members, because there are major activities to know the user, know the member, know the borrower. So, just to maintain the complete record of the user, this section not only is responsible for maintaining the record of the user, it also has to execute the loaning process also. It has to see how the reservation can be done. It has to see how the renewal can be done, and it has to see what all the statistics are maintained, and it has to see what records are also maintained within this section, and they have to preserve all the records, because they are going to be a very precious record for certain reasons. I'll let you know the reasons also why these records are going to be useful for the circulation section. And it's not only for the section but for the whole library, because it tells you how your library is working, because the circulation section will show you the exact picture, how much your library is in demand, and what collection is maximally being utilized, and which collection is not utilized to the extent which probably you might be expecting. So all this can be visible to you only through the circulation section. So this gives you a periscopic view, basically, how much and who is using, which documents are being used, how much is being used, and which documents are not at all being used. All those things, uh, the moment you peruse the records of the circulation section, it becomes quite apparent. It becomes quite visible. So it helps you in further decision making also. So it improves your decision making also. Next time, whenever you will make the purchasing, or whenever you will next year next budget session, you will go for the acquisition, you will do a judicious planning, and that all planning comes with experience. So when you have the records and experience with you, you will be able to have a judicious collection in the library, and that will be more effective and more efficient for the users. So let's see what records are there. So yesterday I told you we have discussed all these things. We have discussed the registration of members, loan procedures we have discussed, overdue charges we have discussed, reservation we have discussed, renewal we have discussed, statistics we have discussed. So coming to the records. In records, I told you in general the whole library and each and every section generates a lot of records, and the records are going to be useful for many purposes. So you have different kinds of records, but exclusively we'll be interested in or we will be dealing with only the records which are related to circulation section. So let me tell you first why records are so important, why they are so critical, and for certain reasons. So the first and foremost reason is that at least you can have the comparative analysis. So the circulation records serves as a foundation for preparing comparative tables, allowing tables to compare their services with those of other institutions. And these records provide valuable data for assessing performance, identifying areas for improvement, and benchmarking against industry standards. These records are going to be useful uh, for evidence-based decision making also. By documenting circulation activities, libraries can make informed decisions about their resource allocation, collection development, and service enhancements. And the records of circulation, trends, and patterns enable libraries to tailor their offerings to meet the needs and preferences of their users effectively. Then these records are meant for permanent documentation. The circulation records are essential for creating a permanent record of library activities. By maintaining accurate and comprehensive records, libraries ensure that their history and accomplishments are preserved for future reference and analysis. The documentation provides a valuable resource for researchers, historians, stakeholders, and interested in understanding the evolution of the library over time. These records also helps in accountability and transparency. The circulation records basically play a crucial role in ensuring accountability and transparency in library operations. By documenting the utilization of resources and the provisions of library services, libraries can demonstrate to funding agencies, governing bodies, and the community that the resources are being managed efficiently and effectively. These records also helps or also supports for decision-making bodies. Circulation records can facilitate the work of library committees and decision-making bodies by providing factual data for assessing performance and making strategic decisions. So these committees tasked with oversight of library operations rely on the circulation records to evaluate the effectiveness of policies, procedures, and resource allocation decisions. So these records also helps in the verification of expenditures. These circulation records also ensure that funds allocated for the library maintenance are properly utilized. By documenting circulation activities and related expenditures. Libraries can provide taxpayers and funding bodies with transparent and verifiable information about how public funds are being spent. And these records also help in the resolution of disputes. In cases, especially where there are doubts or disputes about the library statistics or utilization of resources, these circulation records serves as an invaluable source of evidence. So, by producing original records, libraries or the librarians can substantiate their claims and address concerns raised by the library authorities or stakeholders. So, as I told you, there are different records which are generated throughout the library in the different sections that can be related to record of books, which are maintained by the acquisition section, non-book resources, and again they are maintained by the different section. Cost records again maintained by the acquisition and other sections. The service records, which will be important for us because the circulation section records will be compiled under the head service records. And then we have administrative records, which otherwise how the administration is done, even those records are also maintained in the library. So we'll be dealing with the service records. So basically, when I talk about the service records, so basically the service records in the library are vital for maintaining a transparent and efficient interaction with the public. So they provide the valuable insight into the utilization of library resources and help assess the effectiveness of library services. And here is an overview of the types of service records. Number one, visitor register, you can see. So the visitors register records the daily visits of the library patrons to the library, and it serves as an indicator of community interest in utilizing the library resources and help assess the library's popularity among its users. So then issue record. Issue records are maintained by the lending section of the library, that is circulation, where reading materials are loaned out to patrons for a limited period. And the records include here is reader's record. The records, this especially the record, names and the addresses are recorded of the library patrons who borrows the material, and it helps track patrons' activities and facilitate communication with the borrowers. Then we have book record. Book record provides the information on which books are issued to patrons, and they help track the circulation of library materials and identify popular titles. So then we have overdue records. These overdue records especially track instances where patrons fail to return borrowed material by the due date, and it helps identify overdue items, track fines or penalties, and facilitate communication with the patrons to ensure the prompt return of material. So these are the records, and then we have the record, even the record of reserved books also, and these are the books that are currently checked out and requested by the another patron, and it may be reserved for them. So the reservation record is kept alongside the book record, including giving the patron information, book details, reservation date, and notification process. Where the notification process, the library, whenever they offer the notification service, the details of how the patrons will be notified, and when the reserved books comes to the library, either through the phone call or the mail or the text, all these things are recorded, and this is at any time, at any point of time, if they want to go through the record or they want to peruse the record, or for any purpose, for the research or for even for their own purpose, they can have access to it. So then one more activity which is more important here, which is taken up by the circulation section, that is interlibrary loan method. Interlibrary loan method, just to understand, means it is a loaning between the two or more libraries. So for loaning the material between the two or more libraries, or allowing the patron from more than two libraries, more than one, more than two libraries, so it involves an agreement between the two parties or the two libraries. So if the libraries are ready to share the resources, they have to come on one platform. So coming to one platform means either they should be ready to have the same, follow the same scheme of classification, same cataloging code, and ready to have a union catalog of all the libraries, those who are interested or participating in this process. So that interlibrary loan is not feasible until unless the libraries decide to merge their catalogs. Merging their catalog means they should publish their union catalog, means combination of catalogs of library A, B, C, and D. So when you combine the catalogs of all these 3, 4 libraries, those who are interested in sharing their resources, it becomes a union catalog. And the copies of the union catalog should be available in all these libraries, participating libraries. Or there should be a general agreement that okay, whenever the for maybe some of the documents restricted access, they can give restricted access to the users of any library, or they can loan out the document to the member of any other library if the if the patron of if the user, registered member of the home library, is not using it. Just suppose for a document, the home user is not is any member who is a member of library A, and is not using any particular document or needs any document from the collection which is available in B. So definitely, user through circulation section can approach the library B, and if no user is using, especially in the library B, no user is using uh, that particular document. So in that case, it can be loaned out to A, and and vice versa. The same can be done with any other libraries. So it is just mutually helping each other, mutually helping the members of each other libraries, and thereby just giving a wider access to all the members, giving them more access, because normally the restriction is a library will have certain amount of collection, and when you have a union catalog, you have a wider access to a lot of collection in varied subjects. So you have the choice also, you have the subject also, you have the different titles also. So just suppose user of A wants anything from the collection of B or C or D, the circulation section will approach on his behalf, and then they will find out whether this document is currently in use or not. If it is not in current use, then definitely it can be loaned out. So this is mutually helping each other. So I'll just explain it again. Interlibrary loan method basically plays a crucial role in fulfilling the needs of the library users by allowing access to materials not available in their home libraries. And the what is the basis here is The basis is the fifth law of library science. It recognizes the libraries as dynamic entities that constantly evolve. So it acknowledges the challenges of acquiring all newly published books due to constraints like limited funds and space. For any library, it is not possible to acquire each and everything. Whatever is available in the market, no library can afford. Even if it is a Library of Congress, they cannot afford to buy each and everything, and every year that is not possible. So what can be done is, as per your budget, you can decide what is best for your library, and then you can have networking with other libraries. You can have uh, mutual sharing with other libraries, and whenever some document is required that is available in any other library which is in your network, you can borrow it from there and you can give to your user, give to your patron. This is how you can help each other. Then, to address this challenge, libraries, uh, they're, they're organized into various types with specific responsibilities, creating a network of interdependence. This is what the libraries they are doing it normally, and this loaning facility facilitates basically the sharing of resources among the libraries, so allowing patrons to access materials beyond what their home libraries possess, because the home libraries will be what they are having, so every user will have access to that. But beyond that, you can see the collection of B also, you can see the collection of C also, you can see the collection of D also. And if anything which you want from any of these libraries, you can send a requisition through your circulation section. And if that currently the document is not being used, then definitely they can loan out for you. They can give it to any member of any other library, those who require it. So basically, what are the prerequisites here? I told you that most important is that you should have a unique catalog covering the various subjects and areas that are essential for interlibrary loan system, and these catalogs enable librarians and patrons to identify the location of these specific books across different libraries. Definitely there can be restriction what um, what collection, especially every library should decide that what collection they are ready to share with other libraries, because some of the collections which have restricted access cannot be shared with everyone. So that delimitation can be decided that okay, this much we will be sharing with the public and with the members of all the libraries, and this is something which we'll be sharing with our only with our member of the libraries. So that library has to decide just exclusive collection which they will be which will be used only by the members, and a particular collection, particular size of the collection that they can demarcate, that we can um, keep it for exclusively for all the members of the library. So that can be done. So what happens here is, when the patron require material which is not available in the home library normally, they require assistance from their librarians. So libraries facilitate interlibrary loan request on behalf of patrons. They're sourcing material from other libraries within the network. They will try to find out who is having this document. If anybody having this document which is not being used, they can borrow this document for their patron. So patron typically need to be the members of their home libraries to access interlibrary loan services. And however, due to restrictions and limitations, not every person can become the member of all libraries. Additionally, certain members, like I told you, rare books or the manuscripts may have restricted access. Then the libraries they establish agreements outlining the terms and conditions of the interlibrary loan services, and then these agreements specify borrowing limits, loan duration, return policies, and any associated fee or charges. Because normally, whenever you are sending a document from one library to the other library through post, whatever the charges are, who will be bearing the charges? That should be very clear. The the libraries, those who are in need of a particular document, they will be paying the charges, postal expenses, and while returning also they will be bearing the postal expenses. So this is a mutual thing which can be decided between um, the partnering libraries or the libraries, those who are ready to mutually share their resources. The inter-library loan requests are processed through formal channels, with the librarians coordinating the borrowing and lending of materials. These libraries use established protocol to ensure the safe transportation and return of borrowed items. So definitely it is going to be beneficial for the library also and for the members also. So basically, this interlibrary loan expands access to resources, allowing patrons to obtain materials not available locally, and it maximizes the use of library collections and fosters collaboration among libraries. So patrons are benefited in this case from a wider range of materials for research, study, and leisure purposes.